Welcome back to 5 Acres Honey Farm. I'm Tara Lynn, and I wanted to share with you what I'm preparing for a little kind of like fall holiday gathering that we're having at our house soon. So I've shared in many videos that I have been gathering regional honey and honey from our travels for my honey bar. So if you missed my video last year of me doing a DIY kitchen remodel, I'll link that here. And I did kind of like a little facelift to our kitchen, and I also, Cleo here is being a little loud, so excuse her, but I was doing a bit of a facelift to the kitchen, and I added this cute little kind of honey bar area here. And one of the things that I ordered recently that I'm really excited about is this honey flavor wheel, and I will link to where you can find this. And I'll also kind of like zoom in a little here so you can see. This is produced by the University of California at Davis, and UC Davis puts this out, and it has a whole profile of all different ways of describing honey and different flavor notes that you'll find in honeys. And then the flavor wheel also has some of the regional honey characteristics and the descriptors for it. So I'm gonna have this out for our friends and family who are visiting, and also with all the honeys that are here. So I just also wanted to showcase the honeys that I'll be offering, and I'll give a recap of what everyone thought after the event. Cleo has decided to join us, so she's going to walk us through all of the different honey here. And she's having second thoughts, so she's gonna hang out up here. But what I've got set up over here is some honeycomb that we got in South Florida, just south of Miami. Last November, we went down for Thanksgiving. My parents are in Florida, so I got that down there. And then recently I did a video where we went to Mammoth Cave National Park. And while we were visiting Mammoth Cave, we went to a really cool shop called Farmwalds, which is just north of the park, and they are selling this spun honey, and this is honey from Indiana. So we have been through Indiana before, but I liked that I got kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. I got to visit a cute shop in Kentucky, but got some Indiana honey. And then you might have missed our earlier video this year. We went up to Alaska, and our trip was cut short because of a family illness, but I got some fireweed honey up there, and I really like this honey. I've been controlling myself not to finish it because I wanted to share it with friends, and this is like the only TSA friendly size that I could find because I don't check luggage. And this was also, I think, I don't know if the price is still on it. I feel like I paid like $15 for this teeny tiny jar. I've also got some, what is kind of like self-labeled by this apiary here, I think in Burlington area, North Carolina. And this is called Fool's Gold, but they actually, I know there's a label on here. It's a rum-infused buckwheat honey. And if you haven't had buckwheat honey, it is a very overpowering flavor. It's considered one of the most healthy honeys you could have. And this is super strong. Like, I need to cut it with a lot of other stuff. So I've tried it on biscuits, but you really need some other notes to kind of go with it. I love Heirloom honey out in Western North Carolina, and like getting their sourwood honey. And then I also, on an earlier video, while I was exploring some different vintage shops, I came across this blackberry honey, and it's from Shelby, North Carolina, although I feel like I wasn't too close to Shelby, North Carolina when I got this. I was closer to like Winston-Salem area, but I'd have to double check the map to be sure. And then this is what I got in Mammoth Cave, so like at the actual park. And so this is some Kentucky honey. Haven't even opened this yet. So that'll be really cool to dig into. And then also in that video where I was kind of exploring different vintage shops, where I found the blackberry honey, I stopped in Western Tennessee to get some Tennessee honey, but randomly, although the label says Tennessee, the beekeeper actually has his apiary, well, it's not really his apiary, but he had moved some hives really close to where my apiary is in Western North Carolina. So he was able to move his hives there during the sourwood flow. And that's what this is. So I've got kind of two different types of sourwood from the same area. And then of course, I've got my honey from here in Pittsboro. And then I also have honey from the Mountain Apiary out in Western North Carolina, so folks can try those too. And then I recently picked up at an orchard out in Waynesville, they were selling some local molasses. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna have that out too, but pretty much a whole variety of goodies. And I'm planning on serving these with like different crackers and some toothpicks. If folks don't want them on crackers, they could just kind of like sample little bits of them. And I'm really curious how everyone will be able to kind of describe the different honeys with this lovely flavor wheel. Right, we're like T-minus like 30 minutes from everything starting. So I've got my honeys here. I've labeled everything to make it easy for folks to just look down and glance and see what they want to try. And got the flavor wheel set up so that they don't, if their fingers get sticky, they could just use the holder. And I got these toothpicks, little cups, and got to get some spoons and put those out. But this is looking pretty good. This is my little impromptu holder for the flavor wheel, the pumpkin. I actually use year round as a picture holder, but it's like perfectly festive now. Just closing out this video, so after I had the honey tasting set up, we had so many people come through that I didn't get to film like anyone's reactions to the different types of honey and pretty much even try any honey myself. So at this point, Cleo and Caesar's cage is back here. I've got all my typical stuff, little holiday decorations for the fall set back up. So all the honey is put back onto the honey bar, and I still have not had a chance to try all the different kinds. I was actually waiting to open most of those jars, and Cleo is sitting here trying to come over, and now she's a little camera shy. I was actually waiting to try all those honeys at our little event, but we ended up having kind of waves and waves of people show up, and it was just spending time with each person was really challenging, and showing folks the bees and the garden and the chickens. And she's coming over again, but now she's still camera shy. So we ended up having about 70 to 80 people over. So if you are planning to do some type of honey tasting, one thing that I learned was it would have been good to put some type of protective covering over the table. There's just an older table. It's not anything fancy. So I don't really care if stuff gets on it, and it didn't stain anything. So it was fine. It was just folks are a little clumsy with the honey, and the little toothpicks worked well. And then I had like teeny little disposable cups that I'll link below that were like perfect for just like little sample sizes. And I put a spoon with each jar that could fit a spoon so that folks can just kind of scoop some that they liked into that little cup, and they could use it with some of the crackers and different snacks that had been out. So unfortunately, no active use of the honey flavor wheel and any of those honey reactions, but it was definitely a pleaser. People were really curious to try, honey from Alaska to Florida and, some points in between, but not all. And I would definitely do it again. And it would have been nice to actually like spend some time kind of guiding people through why the honey is so different in different regions. And I also had some honey from the same county here where I live in Chatham County to show how different it can be just within the same smaller geographic area. So sorry for the lack of, experience of, sharing what others experienced, but I hope that at least shared a little bit of how I've been preparing, this honey bar, and how I'm hoping folks will kind of enjoy it over time whenever we have friends and family over. And you could probably also see all of these wine bottles over here. This is probably more wine and beer in this house than we've ever had. Like, I typically just buy a bottle of wine once in a while and we'll drink it up, and then it'll be a while before I get another one. So this is probably a few years supply of wine. So that's also kind of taking over that honey bar area. But thanks for watching. Keep me posted if you're doing a honey tasting, and if you have any recommendations on how I can make the next one better. Thanks.